Chapter 2. After looking around for a while longer, Zhang Zan realizes that all of the books in the library are just like the moon reflected in the water. It is impossible to retrieve them from the shelves. Thus, he loses interest and his consciousness retreats from his mind. Time to eat lunch. After lunch, I will think of a way to coax another 2 more. Looking out the window, it seems to be around noon. Out of the 18 students who came by in the morning, he only managed to get one of them to join him. His acceptance rate is really quite low. He can't continue at this pace in the afternoon. No matter what, he is a transcender. If he is unable to dupe those from the ancient era, how could he proudly say that he came from a world in the age of information? Stretching his back, he walks out of the lecture hall towards the canteen. Just like the high schools from his previous life, the Hongtian Academy's canteen is rather large. Its size is sufficient to allow more than 10,000 students eat in it concurrently. After successfully recruiting a student, his mood lifted. Thus, he orders a few more side dishes and sits by the corner to enjoy his meal. "Isn't that Teacher Zhang?" While he is eating happily, a voice sounds out. Lifting his head, he sees a young man gazing at him with a smiling face. His face didn't have a hint of warmth and instead, he emits the feeling of a fake smile. Teacher Sao? Zhang Zan recognizes him. Teacher Sao's full name is Sao Shang. He joined the academy along with him. He likes to compare achievements with others and make use of it as a tool to inflate his ego. The previous owner of the body couldn't take insults. That's why he drunk to his death. This fellow definitely played a big role in exerting such pressure on him. Today, the freshmen are reporting at the academy to choose their teachers. How is your recruitment going? Judging by how you still have the mood to be eating here, it should be not bad. Look, these are the students that I have recruited, a total of 12 of them. I am here to bring them for a meal before stationing them at their living quarters. Teacher Sao has a look of superiority on his face. He points to the back as he brags openly. No doubts about it, he is here to brag. There isn't any grudge between Zhang Zan and him. However, since they came into the academy at the same time, it is hard to avoid comparisons between the two of them. Thus, he often made use of him to make himself feel superior. A bunch of youths follows behind him. Every of them has a lively expression on their face as they are curious about the new things here. Gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you all. This is Teacher Zhang, a celebrity in our academy. He is the very first teacher to score a 0 in the teacher qualification examination since the inception of our academy. He created history. Teacher Sao introduces to the crowd. 0 marks in the teacher qualification examination? Ah, I have heard of it when I was on the way here. A student he taught went into a frenzy and was almost crippled. I have heard of it as well. Quite a few people have told me before I came to not choose him as my teacher. Otherwise, not only will I not be able to cultivate, it is also equal to suicide. I didn't expect that he would be the one. To think that he has such a kind face. Hearing Sao Shang's introduction, a commotion breaks out among the students. There are many elements to the teacher qualification examination and a total score will be given based on the evaluation of the various aspects. Of it, the students' examination results also play a part in it as well. As long as the teacher has some students, there would bound to be a result. Obtaining 0 marks could be considered as making history. Are you done with your introduction? Towards the commotion of the crowd, Zhang Zan does not get angry. The one who scored a 0 is the previous Zhang Zan. What does it have to do with him? However, even if he isn't really angry, he is still quite annoyed by the actions of this teacher Sao who raises his own standing by beating others down. He waves his hand and says, after you are done with your introduction, you can scram. Don't interrupt my meal here. Sao Shang didn't expect that this fellow wouldn't feel embarrassed even when his history is revealed. He was even asked to scram away. Sao Shang's face darkens. He shakes his hand and with the prestige of a teacher, he says, for you to score 0 points in the teacher qualification examination, You have broken the Academy's record. Do you not have a sense of shame? Shame? Why should I feel ashamed? You have already said it yourself. I have broken the record and became a famous person. All of the freshmen know who I am. However, what about you?"
Zhang Zan raises his hand and points towards the students behind Zhang Zan's back.
"How much did you score in the examination? Do they know? Before they even came to the Academy, do they know who you are? If it wasn't for your insistence to the extent that you even treated them to food, do you think they will acknowledge you as their teacher? To remain unknown as a teacher, you still dare to brag before me. What the hell are you so proud of? Gah! If other people were to score 0 in their teacher qualification examination, their head would definitely remain lowered when they are outside for fear of disgracing themselves. However, this fellow was the direct opposite. He was gleeful about it and held his head up high because of it. Instead, he despises Cao Shang for not scoring a 0. Cao Shang is about to explode. His skin is really too thick. The crux of it is, with this kind of results, how can you still be so proud of yourself? The students behind him stare at one another, at a loss of what to do. What about his reputation? His reputation? This teacher, isn't he too shameful? Shame? Thick-skinned? What a joke! In the era that Zhang Zan lived in order to become famous, some celebrities did all kinds of shameful deeds. Whatever you could think of, nude photos and fake news, they don't get embarrassed doing these kinds of stuff. Even if he were to score 0 marks for his teacher qualification examination, it doesn't mean a thing compared to the things that those people did.
Cao Shang's face turns red. The main job of a teacher is still teaching. Today, I will not squabble with you. Let's cross blows only after you get a student. Then, we'll see whose student is more skilled. After saying those words, he turns around to leave. At this point, the conversation between a male and female could be heard behind him. That teacher is really not bad. His personality is also good. The voice of a dazed girl sounds out. Hesitation could be heard in her tone. Second young mistress, listen to my words. Before we headed out, young master has already entrusted me to bring you to teacher Lu Xuan. However, you refused to listen to me. You even shook me off. Ignoring that, you chose him out of everyone else. The voice of an old man sounds out, a tinge of frustration could be heard in his tone. That teacher is not as bad as you said. He is a good person, he promised to guide me. He said that, if I were to train properly, I can become the top of the cohort. Hesitation could still be heard in the voice of the female. You still want to be the top of the cohort. If you were to study under him, it is already a blessing for your cultivation to not go berserk. Second young mistress, do you know who he is? He is the most famous useless teacher in the entire academy. He scored a 0 the last teacher qualification examination. My little ancestor, you better hurry up and withdraw your application, otherwise young master would kill me if he were to hear of this. A pleading tone appears in the voice of the old man. Big brother. Hearing the old man talk about the young master, the little girl starts to get frightened. Her face distorts and she falls into a dilemma. Hearing those words, the leaving Cao Shang's eyes light up as he smiles towards the eating Zhang Zan. Teacher Zhang, could this young lady be the student you just recruited? Haha, looks like it isn't going well for you. She seems to be intending to withdraw as your student. Teachers can pick students and similarly, students can also pick their teachers. If a student finds their teacher inappropriate for them, they can return the token given to them. Cao Shang's loud voice attracts quite a bit of attention. The mistress and servant duo who were discussing gaze over as well. Second young mistress, is he the teacher you just acknowledged? The old man's gaze falls on Zhang Zan. Yes. The young girl nods her head. The old man immediately stands up and walks over to Zhang Zan. Teacher Zhang, the young mistress of our family has decided to withdraw from your lessons. Old Lu. She didn't expect the old man's movements to be so quick.
The girl's face flushes red and she hurries over. She looks at Zhang Zan with a look of apology and says, "Teacher, I." She is the student Zhang Zan just accepted, Wang Ying. "Wang Ying, you know that I do not accept students. The reason why I accepted you is because our paths crossed. Why do you want to withdraw and give up on such a good opportunity? Do you know how many people desire to become my student, but I refused them?" Of course, Zhang Zan will not allow her, who he coaxed with much difficulty, to escape. Thus, he assumes a very elderly tone. "What the hell?" Hearing his words, the ones in the surroundings who are aware of his background feel their vision turning dark and they almost fainted. "Big brother, can you at least have a sense of shame?"
What do you mean by refusing to accept students, paths crossing and many people desiring to be your student?
You are obviously the one who can't recruit any student. This isn't. Under his interrogation, Wang Ying immediately waves her hand, but before she could finish her words, someone interrupts her.
Yes.
Seeing how indecisive his second young mistress is, the old man Uncle Lu steps forward. "Teacher Zhang, our family's second young mistress has decided to withdraw from your class. She finds it hard to verbalize it out. I will be depending on you for the withdrawal procedures." "Withdraw?" Zhang Zan's eyelids twitch. "You have to consider it properly. You will leave behind a bad reputation from withdrawing from a teacher's class. It will be hard other teachers to accept you. Are you going to ruin your young mistress' life just because of your stubbornness? Can you take responsibility?" This. Old Lu freezes.
Students can withdraw their applications.
However, this would be an insult to the teacher. Besides, if you are able to abandon this one, it means you are also able to abandon another one. Normally, this kind of student with bad track record will not be accepted by the other teachers. After all, for someone who has insulted the prestige of the teachers, no one would be willing to accept that kind of students. Besides, accepting the student would mean insulting the teacher to his face. Everyone are colleagues, so it isn't wise for them to offend their peers over a student. Training in the academy, a student can be considered to be ruined if they are unable to find a teacher.
Old Lu was still quite determined a while ago.
However, hearing his words, he is put in a difficult position. After all, he is just a servant. If the second young mistress's future were to be delayed over this, he is unable to bear the consequences. Rest easy, your family's second young mistress has good talent.
I will teach her well. She will definitely score well.
Seeing that old Lu is wavering, Zhang Zan starts to coax him as well. What a joke, how could he allow a cooked duck to fly away? Hold it right there, who says that no teacher would dare to accept her? Young lady, if you were to withdraw from this teacher here, I will immediately accept you as my student. Before Zhang Zan could finish his words, Cao Shang steps forward with his arms spread grandly. He just lost face in front of Zhang Zan. Now that an opportunity presents itself before him, how could he simply let go of it? Cao Shang, what are you intending to do? Zhang Zan's face darkens. Intending to do? Such a good bud, it would be a pity for it to go to waste. If she were to withdraw from your classes, I will immediately accept her. After all, they came to the academy to study, so it is natural for them to choose the best teacher to guide them, and not someone who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examinations. Chuckling, Cao Shang looks gleeful. Poaching students from me publicly, do you think that I won't report this to the Central Education Bureau? This isn't just a normal bicker but a public poaching of a student. Although the academy encourages teachers to freely choose their students, they do not pardon this kind of snatching of students. The moment it happens, not only will it affect the relationships between the teacher, it could also affect the culture of the school. Poaching students? You speak too heavily. At most, let's have a fair competition advising her by the side. We will let the student choose by herself. Do you dare to agree to it? Cao Shang says.